not talking about AVD, I'm talking about a server. And you try to RDP to that server from your desktop. The RDP connects and then it just disappears. And you go, what the hell happened there? Connect, and you think, okay, maybe I've got a username is correct, maybe the password's correct, and stuff just disappears. Now, what happens is you've actually got to open up your RDP file in Notepad, edit a rule, save it, and then it connects perfectly. And I'll share that tip with you guys. Microsoft don't document stuff around this. It's only when you learn the hard way. So as you can see now, my virtual machines has been deployed. So hopefully this time, this node that I've used will be
Ryan,
good.
before you move on, please, I just would like to ask, is there any professional guide on how to have a proper documentation?
Yeah, I think regarding that, sorry, let me just add to that. Regarding that, I think Teresa is someone you're going to hold down on that. Proper documentation, just hold Teresa down and hold Ryan down later on documentations on every issues. Just Teresa is very big on documentation, so as Ryan is. So I think you can hold them down after this.
And it also depends. Sorry, I wasn't. Also, are you talking about, is there a tool to use for documentation, or were you talking about how do you document?
So it could be tools. I'm just saying, professionally, what's the right path for proper documentation?
For tools, obviously you can use Microsoft Word to document stuff, but I got a nice little tool called Help Manual, and this is, I'll share this tool with you, Teresa. If you, I'll give you my email address. If you give me your email address, this is, it not only allows me to add a video to the documentation, and I can push it out as a web-based file, an HTML knowledge base. I could add screenshots. It's awesome. And so I'm just going to share with you guys my email address.
I do use the Notion. You're familiar with Notion? I do use Notion on documentation, and I create my I include the links linked into the videos as well.
I mean, also, if you don't want to pay,
just use stuff, Microsoft Word. Just use Microsoft Word. Have a header in there that says state the problem, and the second header said here's the solution. Include everybody that was involved, any pictures, and you could put it right in Microsoft Word. I'm going to go back old school.
Yes, I'm very old school as well. You know, I use Word now and again, and you could also use. And if you don't have Word, Microsoft Windows comes with OneNote.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, love OneNote.
You use OneNote.
You can also Microsoft Windows comes also with sticky.
That has
sticky part.
And as you can see now, look at that. I've got green ticks there. I've got 2 virtual machines in my thing. So now you're probably saying, okay, that's fantastic. We've got our group, my virtual machines have come online, because I knew that was the node that was causing me some strife, you know. And as we normally say, thank you, Microsoft, because Microsoft are a law unto their own and they do what they feel like doing. So now we've created our pool 1, we've created our virtual machine. So now what we need to do now is we need to go into our assignments, and we need to go ahead and add our assignments. So the next thing we need to do in our things, we need to go to our application group. Now, by default, it created a desktop application group. So if we come down here, as you can see, I go to application groups, and there's my application DAG, desktop application group. So if I click on DAG, this opens up DAG. Now, or our desktop application group. Now, you can see here we have some settings here, and this is where we would kind of go through, and we would go and start adding some permissions to our desktop application group. And again, you'll find with Azure Virtual Desktop, you jump through a few hoops to get stuff up and running. So now I'm in my desktop application group. Now you probably say to yourself, do I go here? Well, not yet. We need to go and assign somebody access first. I can't give you permissions to thin air. I might say, hey, Tomedio, hey, guys, here's a phone. Okay, let's use a phone. Anybody? No, this phone is going to Teresa. So do I just give it to her, or do I have to assign it to her? So it's like, okay, hey, this goes to Tomedio. Hey, this goes to Bailu. So how do we assign a user? So we have to go and click assignment. So again, I'm in the DAG group. So watch what I'm doing, guys. I'll go back slowly. So click on your application, your host pool. We go to application groups, click on the DAG group and click assignments. Click add. Now, this is Active Directory, and we can go through our AD and we can go ahead and do stuff. So now I'll go ahead and I could go and assign my user AVD lab, or I could go and assign Ryan and click select, and that would go ahead and assign Ryan to that group. And now we've added him to that group. So go ahead and assign that users to that group. Then the next thing we need to do is we need to now go and do some more pieces. So everyone okay there? So go and add your 2 users or 1 user and make sure that they show up in that group. I'll give you a few minutes to do that. And then, of course, we're going to go back to our resource group. So once we've done that, we need to go to resource groups. I'm going to click on my AVD resource group. I'm going to come to I am. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add an assignment. So I'm going to add a role and I'm going to type in virtual machine. If I can spell today, go back to school. And I'm going to select from here. As you can see, you can't select both. We have to do them one at a time. So I'm going to click login and I'm going to go next. I'm going to select my members and I will go ahead and select my 2 members. Click OK, click next and click assign. That's going to assign that role. I'm going to go back and I'm going to assign them some admin permissions. And the reason I'm doing this so you can see how to add the admin permissions. Again, go do that, add roles and assignments, type in virtual machine and go to administrator virtual machine login, go next, select my members and come down and I would select my 2 members. And then we'll just go review and assign. Now I've assigned my members to that group. So when I'm adding people to Azure, I can add them in that group that way. And that way they inherit those permissions. And it's a lot easier and simpler to manage people that way. So again, we'll just give it a few seconds for those roles to assign. And once those roles have been assigned, we can actually come down to role assignments. And what I'm looking for is virtual machine login and virtual machine user. So as you had all your users would appear under this heading. Your admins would appear under this heading. So that is our user. So we've assigned our users stuff there. So once you've done that, let's just bounce back to AVD. And of course, I will wait for you guys to do that. And then we'll move forward. So I'll give you a few minutes to do that. And then we'll go to our Azure Virtual Desktop environment again. But this time we're going to go to workspaces. So once you've added your assignments, I'm just going to go to workspaces. I'm going to click create. I'm going to make sure I select my AVD group. I'm going to call this one AVD. Let's get original. AVD workspace. Now, if you notice, I can't have a space. I can put a hyphen there. So I'm going to copy that because I'm a bit lazy. And I'll just kind of paste it in there. So, and go ahead next on networking. We're not going to worry about that. Go next on applications. We're not going to worry about that. We're going to come back to that. Go next on advanced, next on tags, and click review and create. That's we're just creating a workspace because we need to associate a workspace with an AVD environment. Click create, and it's going to go ahead and create that workspace. So we'll let that go and do its thing, and then we'll wait for it to deploy. Then we'll go into our application groups and do some more settings, and then we will be ready to rock and roll. So again, our workspace has been created. Again, wait for the creation to happen. Again, go to the top, type AVD so you get familiar, go to workspaces, and let's hit refresh. And we'll just kind of wait. It'll come in there shortly. It's Azure doing some stuff in the background, and we just wait for it, and that workspace will appear. And there we go. That workspace has appeared. Click on that workspace, and as you can see now, we can go ahead and do some bits and pieces. So I'll give you a few minutes, a minute to create your workspace, and then we will go from there. So we'll wait for that. And again, sometimes you can just hit refresh to make sure that your workspace is there. So again, you want to make sure you can see stuff in your workspace. So we've created our workspace, which is fantastic. Now, remember I said to you, your workspace needs to be associated with an application group. So again, I'm going to go back to my Azure Virtual Desktop. I'm going to click on my application groups. There's my application group. But again, we need to add that to our workspace. So we go to workspace, and of course we click application groups. We can see we've got our groups there. So I'll give you guys a second, and then we'll go ahead and do stuff. So let's go into my workspace again, and I would go ahead and click here. Let's minimize this. So now I'm in my AVD workspace. We want to click application groups. I want to click add. There's my diag. I'm going to click the plus button here and click select. That's going to add it. So again, you've got to go to your workspace, open your workspace, and then go to application groups. So again, let me show you where that's done so you don't get confused. So again, Azure Virtual Desktop, workspaces. We're not going to application groups. We're going to then click on our workspace group. We're going to minimize this, and then we're going to go to application groups within the workspace. You're going to click the add button, add your group, and once your group is added there, then we'll be pretty much almost ready to connect at the end of the day. So again, once that's done, I want you to navigate back to your AVD. So again, I'll go back to Azure Virtual Desktop. I could just type it over here, and that'll take me to my Azure Virtual Desktop. I'm going to go to my host pools. I want to click on my host pool, and let's just do this. Now, once I've clicked on my host pool, we need to go and access our RDP properties so that we can go ahead and connect to this virtual machine. So we can, and again, there's another little trick that we need to do here in order to connect. Now, if I click my RDP properties, this is where we can go ahead and we can set how we want our session. If it drops, reconnect. We can do all this customization over here. We can enable multi-streaming for video. We can do device redirection. We can do display settings. So I could say, right, don't display multiple monitors. If I do have multiple monitors, I can use that. I'm just going to not display that. Now, if I click on the advanced tab, now here is the $1 million trick to this. Will Microsoft fix this? Well, I really don't know. So I'm going to just open this up in Word so I can share it. In fact, I'm going to share it in the session with you. And I want you to copy that to Notepad. It's in the chat. Now I'm going to open this up in a Word document and explain to you what this is. Again, thank you, Microsoft, for making us pull our hair out. And I'm going to hopefully try and share this with you. I don't know if I'm going to, I don't know if, can you see anything there on my screen, or did you just see the virtual desktop? So let me share this again with you guys. Let's go to my Windows, and I'm going to click on here. So now you can see this. I've got this here. It says, let me break this command down. I'm going to say the target is Active Directory, Azure Active Directory, and it's joined. So we need to tell this AVD that it's joined to Active Directory. Thank you, Microsoft. You make us jump through all these hoops. If we try and connect, it'll say no. So we need to go and paste this command in to Active Directory to get, but you only have to do it once and then it's done. So I'm going to close that down, and I'm going to
wait, leave that up for a second, Ryan. Go back to your other screen, because I thought it was more in there. Does it say the same?
Let me show you on the other screen. So let's just see if this will allow me to go back to my window, and let's come into Azure. So if you look here in Azure, there's no Active Directory. So go to your remote desktop properties on your Azure and go to the advanced tab. You see there's no Active Directory target. I've got to click in here and Control V to paste it and click Save.
Oh, I see.
I've got to save that in there, and that's going to update that pool. I only have to do it once. So that is the command that I've just pasted in there, because by default, it doesn't have that command. Well, yeah, that's something that Microsoft need to fix. Hopefully they'll do that. And of course, if you want, you can click Save. Now we've saved our settings. We can now connect directly to our Windows desktop. So again, I'm going to give you another command in the chat, a link. And I'm going to open up another browser, and I'm just going to paste that command in and press enter. And I'm going to log in. And as you can see now, there's my AVD workspace. Now, if I click on this, I can say allow, and that's going to connect me to my Azure virtual desktop. It's going to go and ask me for a username. So my username would be AVD Lab, and I'll go ahead and type in my password. And that will establish that connection, and very shortly it will launch Windows 10 for me. And just give it a second. It's logging me straight in to my desktop, and I could do this also with a client, and I will show you that as well. So as you can see, it's not if you deploy a normal virtual machine, it asks you to go like next, to do some pre-configuration. This is going to take me straight to the desktop. There we go. I can go ahead now and I can start using my desktop as I would. And if I click on here, I've got Excel, because I deployed Excel as part of Office 365. So this will probably scream at me because I don't have a 365 license, but it's not going to stop us from opening Excel. Now you're probably saying, hey, Ryan, it's a bit slow. Yes, because we've never created a profile on this machine. This is the first profile that it's created. If I click on here, I can go ahead and that will fire up Microsoft Excel, and I can start using Excel. So I've got a full desktop environment for my user. And if I type in C:, and just wait for Teams to do its thing, and then I'll run this command, and I'll just right mouse click and I'll pin this to the menu when it decides to open up. So we'll say pin to taskbar. Now if I come to users, there we go. We've got our public user, and there's our AVD lab user. So again, you could have one virtual machine, and it would create each user's profile in here. And each user can use the desktop simultaneously. They can all do what they need to do. as you can see there, this is that profile. So each person will have its profile, and they can work on it without interfering with any of the other users. And the nice thing with this is I could also enable the RDP stuff from here, where I could come down into my device direction here, and I could say, well, printers on, COM ports are on, USB ports on. So if I plug in a USB, that USB should show up on my virtual machine. Let me grab a virtual machine, and I'm just going to plug it into my physical machine. And it's plugged in, and let's give it a second. And obviously, once I log off this virtual machine and log back on, I will now have access to my drive. So if I came into here, I clicked on here, and I went to the top here, I could disconnect by clicking here and clicking on the user itself, and click sign out. So I'll sign out as that user. That user will sign me out. I could sign back in. Again, this goes back to the question that you guys had earlier on. Can we have multiple people log in from Active Directory? Yes. Coming back into here, let's log back into this machine. Again, you could set this up so that the user could log in automatically, but it's always good to let them type their credentials in. So I'll say AVD Lab. If I can spell today, oh my goodness. And then I'll type in my password and hit enter. And hopefully my USB drive will show up because I've enabled that redirection. So as you can see, it'll be a lot quicker because that profile was already created. And you can see, there we go. It's logged me straight on. If I come into my share here, we come to this PC. And there is, we can go through, and I could now access that virtual desktop drive with my applications. And there we go. So you can do that redirection stuff if you wanted to, if you wanted to do that. So again, that's one way to log in. So if I came into here, and I could sign out over here if I wanted to, but the correct way to do it would be, make sure you click on here. You can go to your user account and say sign out, and that would sign you out. Now we could publish an individual application here if I wanted to. So that would be pretty easy to publish an individual application. Again, I would have to go to workspaces, create a workspace. Make sure I put that in the resource group. I mean, not a workspace, an application, sorry, my fault, go back. So again, click create an application group. And as we go ahead and create that application group, we can choose the host pool, select the resource group. Now, if you notice here, desktop is grayed out because we're using it. So I'll just call this applications. Next. Now, if I install applications on those machines, those applications become available to me. So I'm going to say, well, let's go and choose Excel, and I could give that a name there. I could leave that at the thing. I could just type in a name if I wanted to. I could say Excel app, and I could go ahead and click save, and I could go ahead and add another application. So let's go and add Notepad, and I could go ahead and we go into assignments, and of course we could select our users who's going to have access to stuff. Select the workspace. We say yes, and there's my workspace automatically. Going to create that workspace and click next and click review, and this is going to go away, and it's going to publish those two applications for me. So if I've got my virtual machine and I've installed my own customized application, that customized application will become available to my users. So now once that's done, we'll bounce back into our web browser, hit a refresh, and I should see those two applications there. So we just kind of wait for those applications to deploy. Once those applications have deployed, then we'll be good to go. So we just kind of wait. This won't take too long. Applications are very quick to deploy. And then that user will have access to the desktop and an application. And then you can customize it. You can say, well, I only want you to have access to an application and not a desktop, or I want you to have access to the desktop and the application. So again, I can go ahead and close that down, can bounce back to my resource group. I just hit refresh, and there's my application. So if I click on Excel and click allow, it's going to ask me to log in, and all I'll have access to is an Excel app desktop. So if I clicked ADD lab, typed in my password, hit OK, this is going to open up Excel, and all I would have access to is Excel only. And remember, I haven't used this work group first, so it's just thinking about it, and there we go, Excel, and that's all I've got access to.